Part 1. The Courier. You are 27 years old. You work as a delivery driver. Most days feel exactly the same. You wake up before sunrise. Not because you want to. Because bills don't care how tired you are. The apartment is small. The paint is peeling from the walls. The heater only works when it feels like it. You rent a single bedroom on the edge of the city. The kind of place people leave as soon as they can afford to. Every month is a race. Rent, gas, food, insurance. Then somehow do it all again. Your old sedan waits outside. It has more warning lights than working features, but it still runs. Most of the time. Every morning starts with the same thought. Please start today. The engine coughs, shakes, then finally comes alive. You smile. A small victory. The delivery app sends the first order, then another, then another. The day has begun. Most customers never look at you. You hand them a package. They close the door. The interaction lasts seconds. Some are polite, some are rude, but you remember the difficult ones, especially the people who make sure you know exactly where you stand. One rainy afternoon, you arrive at a large house. The package is slightly bent from the weather. You ring the doorbell. A man opens the door. Immediately, his expression changes. He grabs the box, turns it over, and starts complaining. You apologize. You explain the package is still sealed. He doesn't care. He points at a small dent in the cardboard, as if you personally destroyed something valuable. He looks at your delivery uniform, then at your old car in the driveway, and says something you'll remember for a long time. Maybe this job is exactly where you belong. The door closes, and suddenly the rain feels colder than before. You walk back to your car, trying not to think about what he said. But the words keep replaying in your head. Maybe this job is exactly where you belong. Maybe this is all your life will ever be. The thought follows you all afternoon. The rain gets heavier. The orders keep coming. And your mood keeps getting worse. By evening, you're exhausted. You finish your final delivery and head back toward the parking lot. That's when something catches your eye. A small piece of paper blows across the pavement. You almost ignore it. The wind pushes it against your shoe. You look down. It's a lottery ticket. You laugh. You've never played the lottery in your life. You don't even know how it works. For a second, you think about throwing it away. Then you shrug and put it in your pocket. Back in the car, you toss it into the glove compartment and immediately forget about it. Part 2. The ticket. Life continues. Orders. Traffic. Bills. The same routine. The lottery ticket never crosses your mind. One day passes, then another, then an entire week. The ticket stays forgotten in the glove compartment. Until one evening, while searching for insurance papers, you find it again. Bent, wrinkled, almost forgotten. You stare at it for a moment, then laugh to yourself. What are the chances? You almost throw it into the trash. Actually, you already have it in your hand, ready to let it go forever. But something stops you. Maybe curiosity, maybe boredom. A minute later, you're checking the numbers online. Without expecting anything, the first number matches, then the second, then the third. Your smile slowly disappears. You check the numbers again, certain you've made a mistake. People like you don't win lotteries. The fourth number matches, then the fifth. Your hands begin to shake. The room suddenly feels smaller. You refresh the page, then refresh it again. Nothing changes. The numbers are still there. You grab another device. Maybe the website is broken. Maybe this is some kind of error. The second website shows the same result. Then the third. Then the fourth. Every result says the same thing. You stare at the screen, unable to move. $10 million. The number doesn't feel real. You read it again, and again, and again. Your entire life, you've worried about money. Now one number changes everything. Or at least that's what you think. You call the lottery office the next morning. The woman on the phone verifies the ticket. Her voice sounds calm, professional, ordinary. Your voice doesn't. You can barely answer her questions. Then she says the words you'll never forget. Congratulations. The ticket is valid. For a moment, everything becomes silent, as if the world itself pauses. $10 million. More money than you've ever seen. More money than you've ever imagined. That night you don't sleep. You just stare at the ceiling, wondering if your entire life is about to begin. For the first time in years, the future doesn't scare you. It excites you. Part 3. The winner. A week later, the money arrives, and suddenly every problem you've ever had seems solvable. The rent no longer matters. The bills no longer matter. The future no longer feels scary. For the first time in years, you feel powerful, like life finally chose your side. You quit your delivery job, without hesitation, without a backup plan, without looking back. Your manager is shocked. You've never looked happier. For the first time, you walk out of that building smiling. The next morning you wake up and realize something strange. You don't have anywhere to be, no deliveries, no schedule, just freedom, or at least what feels like freedom. A few days later, you decide to buy a new car. Not because you need one, because you can. For years you've driven the same old sedan. Now you want something different. You drive to a luxury dealership, the kind of place you never imagined entering. Glass walls, polished floors, cars that cost more than your apartment ever will. A salesman notices you, then notices your clothes, then notices your old car. He's already decided who you are and what you can afford. For a moment, the old version of you feels embarrassed. Then you remember something. You're no longer that person. You point to the most expensive car in the showroom. The salesman almost laughs. Until you ask a simple question, "Can I pay today?" The room changes instantly. The salesman straightens his posture. His smile returns. Now he's interested. Coffee appears. Managers appear. Everyone suddenly becomes friendly, very friendly. You sign the paperwork, without financing, without negotiations, without hesitation. Scene 56. As you leave the dealership, the staff thanks you repeatedly. The same people who barely noticed you an hour ago. Driving home, you can't stop thinking about it. The car isn't what stays in your mind, the people do. How quickly they changed. How quickly respect appeared. And for the first time, a dangerous idea enters your head. Maybe money changes everything. Maybe money changes everyone. Maybe respect can be purchased. A month later, you move into a luxury apartment downtown. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a skyline view. Every morning feels unreal, like you're living someone else's life. The old apartment already feels distant, like a memory from another person. You tell yourself you've finally made it. You've won. But some victories change more than your circumstances. They change the way you see the world, and the way you see other people. Part 4. The businessman. At first, you try to enjoy the money, but eventually doing nothing becomes boring. Every day starts feeling the same. You travel, you shop, you relax, and somehow you still feel restless. The truth is simple. You don't just want money, you want purpose. That's when an idea appears, a delivery company. After all, you know the industry better than anyone. you've lived it. You invest a small portion of your winnings, rent an office, buy vehicles, hire drivers. At first, it's exciting. A chance to build something of your own, a chance to prove yourself. You remember every frustrating day as a courier, every rude customer, every impossible deadline. You promise yourself something. Your company will be different. Your drivers will be treated better. And, for a while, you actually mean it. You genuinely try. The first drivers are hired, then a few more, then a few more. Soon there are 10 employees, then 20, then 50. The company grows quickly. New contracts arrive every month. New customers, new opportunities, new profits. For the first time, people work for you. People depend on you. And something begins to change, slowly, almost invisibly. A driver arrives late. You lose your temper, far more than necessary. Scene 80. Another damages a package. You threaten to fire him. Immediately. At first it feels justified. After all, mistakes cost money. But the more money you make, the less patient you become, the less understanding you become. The same struggles you once lived through now seem like excuses. The same problems seem annoying. One rainy afternoon, a driver walks into your office. His car broke down. He can't finish his route. He looks stressed, embarrassed. A few years ago, that driver was you. Exactly you. But you don't think about that, not anymore. Instead, you lecture him. You talk about responsibility, professionalism, standards. The driver quietly nods, then leaves your office, without arguing. For some reason, the look on his face bothers you, not because he's angry, because he's disappointed, as if he expected better from you. Later that night, you remember something from years ago. The damaged package, the rain, the old sedan, and the sentence that haunted you for years. Maybe this job is exactly where you belong. The realization hits hard. You sound exactly like him now. The person you hated. The person you promised never to become. But the thought disappears quickly. Business keeps growing. Money keeps coming. And money has a way of distracting people, especially from uncomfortable truths. Within 2 years, your company becomes a major success, far beyond expectations. And slowly, you begin seeing people differently, not as people, as opportunities. Part 5. The girl. One evening, you meet someone completely unexpected, someone different. She doesn't ask what car you drive. She doesn't ask about your company. She doesn't ask about money. In fact, she doesn't seem impressed at all. And that's unusual. Most people change when they learn who you are. She doesn't. She treats you exactly the same. Not like a millionaire. Not like a business owner. Just like a normal person. It's strangely refreshing. Almost confusing. You aren't used to it. You tell her about your company. She changes the subject. You tell her about your success. She asks what you enjoy doing. When was the last time you were happy? The question catches you off guard. Nobody asks you things like that anymore. Most conversations are about business, money, opportunities. You keep finding reasons to see her again. At first, you genuinely enjoy it. Then your ego gets involved. You start wanting something else. Validation. You want proof. Proof that you can impress her, like everyone else. So you buy expensive gifts. The kind most people dream about. Luxury watches. Designer bags. She thanks you, then politely returns them. Every single time. You reserve a table at the city's most exclusive restaurant. She suggests a small coffee shop instead. You offer luxury vacations, private flights, five-star hotels. She says she's busy, and somehow that frustrates you more than rejection. For the first time in years, money isn't solving the problem. Money isn't opening the door. And that starts to bother you a lot, more than it should. You don't understand why. Everyone wants something. Everyone usually does. Everyone has a price. At least that's what you've started believing. The more she resists, the more obsessed you become. Not with her, with winning, with proving you can get what you want. One evening she says something simple, something honest. You keep trying to impress me, but I don't think you know me. The words stay with you, long after she leaves, long after the conversation ends. But instead of listening, you double down. More gifts, more attention, more expensive gestures, more money. And without realizing it, you're becoming someone completely different. Someone the old delivery driver would never recognize. Someone the old delivery driver would never respect. But you're too successful to notice, too successful to care. Or so you think. A few weeks later, everything finally comes to a head. You invite her to dinner, certain that this time will be different, certain that this time you'll finally get what you want. You have no idea. You're about to learn the most expensive lesson of your life. Part 6. Everyone has a price. The restaurant is perfect. The view is perfect. The food is perfect. Everything is exactly as planned. But something feels wrong. She's distant, quiet, distracted. Not angry, not impressed, just tired. Eventually, she puts down her glass and looks directly at you. For a long moment, I need to ask you something. Her voice is calm, almost too calm. You smile, certain this conversation is finally going your way, certain you're about to win. Instead, she asks, "Do you even like me?" The question catches you completely off guard. For a moment, you don't answer. Of course you like her. At least that's what you tell yourself. At least that's what you've been believing. But the longer you sit there, the less certain you become. Do you actually like her? Or do you simply hate losing? The silence becomes uncomfortable. You try to change the subject. She doesn't let you. Not this time, not anymore. You keep trying to buy things, she says. Trips, gifts, experiences. The words hit harder than expected. Something inside you knows she's right. But instead of listening, you get defensive. You start talking about everything you've done for her, everything you've offered, everything you've spent, the restaurants, the gifts, the opportunities, the experiences. The more you talk, the worse it sounds. Then you say something you'll regret forever, something money has been teaching you for years, without you realizing it. Something that has quietly become part of who you are. Name a number. You say, if that's what this is about. Name a number. I can afford it. The words leave your mouth, and instantly the room changes. For the first time, she looks genuinely shocked. Not offended, not angry, just disappointed. A level of disappointment you've never seen before. She sits silently for several seconds, looking directly at you. Then she finally speaks. The saddest part, she says quietly. What is that you actually believe that? You don't answer, because you can't. For the first time in years, you have no argument. No amount of money can fix this moment. She stands up and starts walking away. You don't try to stop her. Something inside you already knows she's right. Part 7. The real price. For the first time in years, you start questioning yourself. Not your business. Not your investments. Yourself. When was the last time you helped someone? Without expecting something in return? When was the last time you listened? Without trying to impress? When was the last time you treated people? The questions become impossible to ignore. That night you barely sleep, just like the night you won the lottery. But the feeling is completely different. Back then, you thought life was about to begin. Now, you wonder what happened to the person you used to be. The next morning, you arrive at your office, earlier than usual. For the first time in a long time, you simply observe the drivers, the dispatchers, the cleaners, people you've stopped noticing, people whose names you've forgotten, people who remind you of someone, yourself, the old delivery driver, the man with the broken car, the man with the tiny apartment, the man who counted every dollar and still treated people kindly. You suddenly realize something. That version of you was poorer, but somehow richer. He had less money, less comfort, less power, but he also had less arrogance, less ego, less pride. The realization hurts, because it's true. You spend the entire day thinking about it, and by evening, you finally understand. The lottery didn't ruin your life. The money didn't ruin your life either. The money simply removed the obstacles that were hiding who you were becoming. And for the first time, you don't like what you see. Years ago, you thought $10 million would solve everything. And in some ways, it did. The rent disappeared. The stress disappeared. But something else disappeared too. Something much more valuable. Your humility, your gratitude, your perspective. Money gave you freedom. But you confused freedom with superiority. You started measuring people by income, by status, by usefulness, until eventually, you forgot how to see them as human beings. That's the danger nobody talks about. Most people think money changes who you are, but more often, it reveals who you are becoming. And sometimes, the reflection isn't pleasant. Seen, because wealth can buy comfort, but it can't buy character. It can buy attention, but not genuine connection. It can buy company, but not love. It can buy almost everything, except the things that matter most. Looking back, the biggest lottery prize was never the money. It was the lesson, the chance to see yourself clearly, before it was too late. Because in the end, the most valuable thing you own isn't money. It's the person you become while chasing it. Part 8. One last question. If you suddenly received $10 million tomorrow, would it change your life? Or would it change you? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Which part of the story felt the most real to you? Let me know. I'll see you in the next one.